Today we're going to talk about something called emotional martial arts. And no, it's not about fighting. It's a really cool way to think about mastering yourself, your body, your mind, your emotions, for your entire life.
All right, so get this. In most martial arts, a black belt means you're an expert fighter, right? Well, here, the belts mean the exact opposite. They show you've become so good that you don't even need to fight. It's all about winning that battle inside yourself long before it ever spills out into the world.
So that kind of begs the question, right? I mean, we live in a world that's, well, it's pretty chaotic. It's constantly pushing our buttons. So how in the world do you train for peace? How do you actually build that kind of inner calm and strength? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
The whole thing starts with this core idea, the art of not fighting. And look, this doesn't mean you just roll over and let people walk all over you. Not at all. It's about building up such a solid inner core that you don't get sucked into pointless drama and conflict. Okay, so here's the key concept. It's called the violence threshold. Just picture this. There's a spark. That's the moment someone says something that gets under your skin. And then there's the explosion, when you lose your cool. The violence threshold is the space between that spark and the explosion. And our entire goal is to make that space bigger, to create this little buffer zone where we can actually think, make a choice, and hold back instead of just reacting. And the cool thing is, you can actually train to expand it.
So how do we do that? How do we actually train this threshold? Well, it's not just one thing. It's actually built on 3 different disciplines that all work together to make us stronger from the inside.
And what's so cool about this is how it covers everything. First, you've got physiology. That's your body. We're talking about learning to control your heart rate, your breathing, all that physical stuff. Then there's neurology. That's your brain. It's about getting that logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, to be the boss of the reactive fight-or-flight part, the amygdala. And finally, there's psychology. That's your mind. This is where we work on our beliefs about power, ego, and what's fair. See, it's the body, the brain, and the mind, all working together.
And just to be clear, this isn't some weekend workshop. It's a lifelong path. We're going to walk through the different belts, but they're not just skill levels. They're actually tied to different stages of your life. It starts with a white belt around age 7 and goes all the way up to a black belt when you're 49 or older. Every single stage of life has its own lessons to teach.
All right, let's start at the beginning with the early belts. This is all about laying that crucial groundwork when you're young, from childhood up into your early 20s.
So in these early years, it's all about building basic awareness. When you're a little kid, maybe 7 years old, a white belt, you're learning to notice what your body is telling you. Simple stuff like playing games with your breath. Then you hit the teenage years, right? All that energy? The yellow belt is about learning to channel it into something productive like sports and martial arts. And by 21, as an orange belt, you're starting to use tools like journaling to really manage your own emotions as you step into the adult world.
Now, this is interesting. The training recognizes that culturally, we're often taught different things based on gender. So for boys, a lot of the work is about redefining strength. It's not about hitting first, it's about having the control not to. And for girls, it's often about unlearning the pressure to always be nice, and instead, learning how to say a firm no and not feel guilty about it. The goal for everyone is to find a healthy balance.
Okay, so once that foundation is set, we move into what you could call the middle belts. This is adulthood, and this is where the training gets real. It's about taking all those skills and actually using them under the pressure of real life.
And the practices really shift during these years. Around 28, as a green belt, you're learning to turn that basic self-control into actual wisdom, learning how to negotiate and mediate. Then you hit 35, the blue belt stage, and life gets intense, right? Career, maybe a family. It's all about balancing that stress. And by 42, as a brown belt, the work gets deeper. You start looking at your own triggers and figuring out how to turn them into real moments of self-discovery.
And all of that hard work, all that practice, it leads to this, the final stage, the black belt. This is where it's not just about you anymore. Your focus shifts from mastering yourself to serving others, embodying a kind of wisdom that you can only get from a lifetime of this work. So what does it even mean to be a black belt in this? Well, for one, your ego takes a back seat. You're slow to get angry, but you're really quick to understand what's actually going on. Physically, you might be doing something like Tai Chi, just flowing with your breath. Mentally, you're always learning, keeping your mind sharp and adaptable. And that anger, it doesn't just disappear. It gets transformed into focused, principled action to help other people.
And if you take away just one thing, let it be this. The goal here is not to crush your emotions. It's not about becoming a robot. It's about integration. It's about bringing everything together so that your strength and your ability to care, your clarity and your compassion, they're not fighting each other. They become one and the same.
So when you look at the whole picture, you can see it's this amazing curriculum for life. You start with just being aware as a kid, then you build discipline as a teen. In your 20s and 30s, you're integrating it all into your life, and then in your later years, it becomes about wisdom and what you leave behind. It's a beautiful progression.
So what this really shows us is that mastering yourself isn't some finish line you cross. It's what you do every single day. The training never really ends. Which brings us to the only question that really matters. What are you going to practice today?